Commitment to her school and students was evident from the very first time I met her. She had identified an issue that was negatively affecting both her students and school, and from the very first meeting was ready to find solutions. Her energy was palpable, something that some of us needed on those early Saturday mornings. Catherine. Click right away from the computer on the touchpad or my mouse, or the enter button.
All right, perfect. All right, so thank you guys for being here. My topic is similar to Tom's. My research question that I focused on was what factors most influence teacher recruitment and retention in the RCSD, and what can we do to improve our current situation? So some things I'll go over today, just my rationale, why this is important to me. What does research say? My data collection, which I hope will offer some additional insight as to what Tom's did. I know he created a survey and surveyed teachers who have left. And I kind of took a look at some of the survey data that we have through our CIT program as well to offer some additional insight. And then finally, the implications and my suggestions. So first and foremost, why is this important? I wanted to start with giving you this quote because first and foremost, while we know that districts everywhere are experiencing a teacher shortage, we need to remember that as an urban district, we're at an even greater disadvantage. And so the biggest why in exploring this topic is that for me. Teacher turnover rate is 50% higher in high poverty districts than in their low poverty suburban counterparts. So why is this important? First and foremost, as Corinne mentioned, when I first came into this, a lot of what drew me to this research topic was what I was witnessing in our schools. And a big thing with that is our students deserve to be in a classroom where they're engaged and they're learning and they're challenged and they're loved and they're supported and their education is the top priority. Unfortunately, what we're seeing a lot in our classrooms are uncertified or inexperienced individuals, and by inexperienced I don't mean our newer teachers. I mean, for example, the laid off construction worker that's being placed as a kindergarten teacher for the year. What this is doing is creating unstructured learning environments where the goal becomes survival and not learning. I've seen classrooms that become year-long study halls because of the lack of ability or the inability to put a certified teacher in those classrooms. In addition to that, our teachers deserve to be in a collaborative work environment where they feel seen, heard, valued, rather than, in a lot of the cases now, isolated, alone, or even more so, inadequate. For over 3 years in a row, as Tom mentioned, the RCSD has broken records for teachers resigning from the district, many of them citing lack of support and poor working conditions as their reasons. We will continue to lose more and more teachers if we don't dig deep to find the root of the problem and work to improve as many of those conditions as we can in order to become a place not only that teachers want to come, but that they want to stay. So fortunately, there is a great deal of research surrounding the topic. So that's what I will get into next. What does our research say? So there was a lot of information that came about regarding the topic. And so when I tried to kind of categorize that data, I found 3 overarching topics that kind of encompassed everything. And those are compensation, working conditions, and professional learning. So a lot of the contributing factors are things such as increased demands being placed on teachers, increased environments of control and micromanaging, an escalation of student behaviors, and less support to manage these behaviors, increase in blame, a lack of competitive pay and respect as a master's and or in some cases doctorate level professionals. But within all of these reasons, these three I found to be mentioned throughout. So first, in terms of compensation, some things that really stood out to me in the research. A teacher's salary in much of the US is too low to support even a middle class existence. New teachers nationally earn nearly 20% less than others with similar levels of college degrees in other fields. The sad thing is this gap widens to 30% by mid-career. And of teachers who have left, 67% claimed that they may be willing to return if there were an increase in salary. As far as working conditions, research has long shown that teachers' working conditions affect their ability to teach well. These conditions have direct implications on teachers' attitudes about their work and their decision to remain at their school or in the profession. Some things that I noted here is that 80% of educators indicate that they are taking on more work due to unfilled job openings within the district. 76% of educators identify student behaviors as being a major concern, and 80% of educators indicate that burnout is a serious problem. Finally, in terms of professional learning, an important factor in someone wanting to remain in any profession, not just teaching, is to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel valued. Both teacher effectiveness and an individual teacher's sense of efficacy play an important role in supporting teacher retention. So therefore, we need to look at how we can support teachers professionally through some of the things here mentioned. So one thing was just a more collaborative work environment in which relevant professional learning is emphasized, and that can have a positive effect on teacher retention. Another thing that I know recently the district has embraced is residency programs. Research showed that not only does a residency program help recruit talented candidates, but it also helps to build them to be effective, which is then going to result in them remaining in the profession and more likely to remain in the district. And then I just want to leave, as far as research goes, leave you with this quote. Only 10% of educators say that they would recommend the teaching profession to a young adult. So the next part of this is, what do our teachers say? So I took a little bit of a different stance from Tom, and I looked at a lot of our CIT data. So for anyone who isn't familiar, CIT is our career in teaching program, where we have mentors that help, that mentor new teachers to the district. You're also able to request a mentor as a veteran teacher as well. So the first thing, this actually is from our district, but I wanted to put this chart up here because I thought it was interesting as I looked at some of what our teachers said, that in teal you can see that's the classroom teachers, and the top reason for teachers leaving positions is that inadequate compensation. And I want to make sure I note, because I'll get into that too, that by inadequate compensation, I'm not referring to just a salary. There's a lot of things that teachers are required and asked to do that they do not receive any compensation for. So the next thing I wanted to show you were just some of the teacher voices. So through our data collection with the CIT program, similar to what Tom did, we were able to get some feedback on teachers that chose to stay with the district and also teachers who chose to leave. And I think it's important to look at both, especially when we're talking about not only being able to recruit teachers, but keep them here. So this first part, these are quotes from teachers as to why they chose to leave. So the first one, teachers without master's degrees were being offered higher salaries. So our teachers who are here and have been here for the long haul are feeling that newer teachers or just teachers that are coming in from other districts are being offered higher salaries. We've had instances where teachers have left the district for 2-3 months and came back because they were able to renegotiate their pay. Another teacher said, I was assaulted over 15 times and now I'm in physical therapy. Not enough support in the classroom. Not a safe working environment, and not paid enough. Now, mind you, there were a ton of quotes when I looked into the data, so what I did was try to pull the ones that were throughout, that were repeated the most. So here's some quotes from teachers as to why they chose to stay in the district. My mentor was an integral part in my decision to stay. Without her, I would be going. I was able to change buildings and leave the toxic environment that I was in. Because I'm able to keep my mentor an additional year. My principal is retiring, so I'm hoping change will be good. And for the kids, which I'm sure many of us can relate to. So the next is, what are the implications? The first thing I want to do is highlight there are steps that the district, through negotiations with RTA, are trying to do to help the current situation. So what I didn't know in going into this research is that we actually have a team that is set just to analyze our recruitment and retention data and work towards bettering that. One thing that I think the district has done is, well, with RTA, negotiating the $1,500 stipend into the contract the last 2 years. The affinity groups are new to the Rochester City School District, and if you're unfamiliar with those, there's been a lot of research that has shown that those benefit companies. Amazon uses affinity groups. There's a number of other organizations that have found success with affinity groups. And then new as well is the Rockfellows residency program, which I had mentioned earlier. What I suggest, because while these attempts from the district are good attempts at fixing the problem or helping to minimize that problem, they aren't without fault. So what I mean by that is the stipend was great, but it's for 2 years and it ends. Will we be able to renegotiate something similar? I'm not sure. So short term, maybe that will help, but we need long-term solutions. We need things that are going to last. Next, many don't even know about the recruitment and retention team, and I feel that classroom teachers should really be a part of this team and a part of that process, because they're the ones on the front lines every day, and they can offer the most valuable insights as it relates to the topic. And affinity groups, while they're great in theory and have shown to be successful in other businesses and companies, in the end of the day, they're asking teachers to do many additional tasks, such as quarterly meetings, summer meetings, minute keeping, reporting, hosting events, etc. None of that with any form of compensation. So again, we have to stop asking teachers to do more without any form of compensation to do so. So the first thing that I have that I think would be something to consider, if we're going to draw teachers in and be able to keep our teachers here, we need to be not only in the top paying districts, we really need to be one of the top paying districts in the area. This doesn't have to be in terms of just salary. There's many creative ways to help our teachers earn a living wage. This could be in the form of retention bonuses, adjusting the steps so that it doesn't take so long for a teacher to reach a career level pay. Number 2, improve working conditions beginning with capping class sizes at 18. To begin improving working conditions, we have to start by capping class sizes so our teachers are able to better handle the worsening behaviors that we're seeing in the classrooms. In addition, to also address this issue, we need to build in an extra planning period for teachers to be able to manage the increased workload and what's being put on their plates, in addition to the students during that time being able to receive a mandated SEL class. so that they are learning ways to cope with their emotions and better able to handle those, so that maybe we won't see these behaviors continuing to increase. Finally, I think surveying teachers is another way to continually work to improve conditions. Teachers should not only be surveyed about the working conditions in their building, which they are, but should be able to anonymously provide feedback on the leadership in their building as well. Number 3, as you saw with a lot of my quotes, I really think that what we have in our CIT mentoring program is fantastic. And I think that we should build on the success of the mentoring program and expand that program. I think that we should allow teachers to receive mentoring throughout their probationary period, which is their first 3 years in the district. In addition, I think we need to make sure teachers are better informed of the availability of that professional support even once they're tenured, making sure that they know that the mentoring program is also available to them. And I also propose looking into how to better recruit mentors. As I know for a fact, many teachers wait on an available mentor during the most critical time of their first year of teaching, which we know is September, October. So I think being able to make sure we have an ample number of mentors is really important as well. Finally, number 4 really connects with number 1. I think most important, because if we do this one right, it encompasses number 1 as well. We need to give teachers advancement opportunities without having to leave the classroom. We have teams upon teams of varying tasks in central office. Why not create teams from the pool of teachers to address these things? Not only would this allow teachers to feel more vested in the district level, but it allows them to grow and earn beyond the classroom without having to leave the classroom. A quote I found in the research was that educators often note that teaching is a flat profession. Some experienced educators leave the profession because once they become a teacher, there's very little room for advancement without becoming an administrator. And I think it's important that we allow teachers to stay in the classroom and still experience opportunities of growth. I think a lot of these, like I said, the recruitment and retention team, if we were to put that out there as a teacher opportunity for teachers who are in the classroom to see who would want to form a team to work on that paid, you would have teachers that would love to do that. And I think giving opportunities for teachers to be vested in the district is going to tremendously impact our ability to retain teachers. And that is what I've got for you. Does anybody have any questions?